Hello everyone and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to show you how I draw a cute face in my art style. For this drawing, the materials you'll need are a sketchbook or just like a piece of paper, any paper will do, and a kneaded eraser, and you can use a different eraser if you don't have a kneaded eraser, and 2 paintbrushes. I use these for blending, you'll see later in the video. And then a pencil. I use my Pentel mechanical pencil just because that one's my favorite. And last but not least, a white gel pen. And that's everything. Alright, now let's get into this tutorial. The first thing I do when I'm drawing a face is I draw a circle. And the circle doesn't have to be completely perfect, but I find what helps is using short feathery strokes to draw the circle, and remember to use really light pressure because we're going to have to erase some of these lines later on. Then I draw a line vertically straight down the middle of the circle, and I bring it just below the circle a little bit. And then I divide the circle in half again, but this time with a horizontal line through the center of the circle. Then I put a little line at the top of the circle, and this marks where the hairline will be, and then I repeat that on the bottom, and that marks where the nose will be. Next I mark where I want the chin to be, and a tip here is if you want your character to look older, then move this line down lower so that the face will be longer. And if you're going for a younger, cuter look, then put the line up higher so the face will be shorter. Then I start to draw in the lines of the sides of her face, and I bring them down about to where the nose line is, and then I start to curve them in towards where I mark the chin to be. It can be pretty easy to mess up at this part, but don't worry if you mess up because you can just go back and erase it and go back over it, and just remember to take your time with this part. Now I'm starting the guidelines for the eyes. I put a line on either side of the center line to mark how far apart the eyes will be, and then I put a horizontal line below that where I want the tear ducts to be, and I put this line here to make sure that the tear ducts will line up. I then draw a line on either side of the face to mark where the eyes will end, and remember to keep each of these squares, these 3 squares, keep them approximately about the same size. And you can use a ruler for this part if you want it to be exact, or you can just freehand it like me. Now that we have our guidelines in place, you can start drawing the eyes. I start with the outer edge of the eye and I work my way into the center using the guidelines like this. And then I repeat this on the other side, and this marks the top of the eyeballs. Now, a tip that I have to help get the eyes even is to work on them both simultaneously. So when you draw one part of one eyeball, then draw that on the other side and vice versa. And I just find that it really helps me keep them even in the same size. Now, a thing that I like to do is add a little bit of eyeliner on the edge of the eyes just because I think it adds a little cute effect. So if you want to do this to yours as well, then feel free, but you don't need to. Okay, so now that we have the top of the eyes done, we can draw the bottom of the eyes. I like to draw very big circular eyes, so I mark the bottom of the eyes very low. But if you want to go for a more realistic style, then you can make the eyes a bit smaller and more almondy shape. This is all just up to personal preference. And again, this is not a realistic tutorial. This is just how I personally draw in my style. And just keep that in mind because my style is a little bit, you know, it's a little bit wacky. Once I'm done with that, I like to draw in the waterline. So I just draw around that circle and then I bring it into the tear duct. And I do kind of an enhanced waterline. And if you want, you can make it a little bit smaller. You do not have to make it as big as mine, but this is just what I prefer. I guess I just felt like I needed to enhance her eyeliner again or something. I don't know. Bear with me. Okay, so now on to the next step. We're gonna draw in the eyelids. And yeah, just try to make them as even as you can. You know, if you mess up, you can erase, go back, do it again. You know, no big deal. Okay, so now I'm drawing in the eyebrows and I don't really have any guidelines for the eyebrows, but one tip that I do have is if you're right-handed like me, then you can see that I draw in the left eyebrow first, and that's so that when I go in to draw the right eyebrow, I can already see the one that is drawn. And then I can try to copy that one the best I can. So like if you're left-handed, do the other eyebrow first and stuff, just so that your hand's not covering, and then you can try to get it as precise as you can. I mean, I didn't even get these eyebrows perfectly, like they're still a little bit mismatchy, but you know, just try to do the best that you can and take your time with this part. So now we move on to drawing the nose, and I like to use this method that I call the bunny method, and essentially I draw two little slits on either side of the center line, and make sure you're on that nose guideline that we marked out earlier, and then it should look kind of like a little bunny's nose at this point, and then I draw in the bottom of the nose, and then I draw in the nostrils on either side, and then you'll have a cute little nose. Super easy. Now that we have our cute little bunny nose drawn in, it's time to move on to drawing the mouth. And I like to start just below the nose at the bottom of that circle, and I draw in the cupid's bow, and that marks the top of the mouth, and then I mark out the bottom of where I want the lips to be, and then I mark the corners of the mouth. I do all these, I mark out all of these beforehand instead of just drawing in the entire mouth all at once, because I found that if I draw in the mouth all at once, I have this tendency to make the mouth way too big for the face, and then I have to redraw it, and it's really annoying, and so this just prevents that from happening. So I drew her mouth in a pretty basic position. I didn't really give it like any expression, but if you want to draw like somebody smiling or laughing or frowning, you can still use these guidelines and just look up a reference picture, and you can still apply these guidelines to that and, you know, try that out and see if that works for you. Now I'm adding these little eye bags that I like to add right below the eyes. They're actually like the bottom eyelids. Our eyes actually have bottom eyelids that allows our eyes to close. But I like to enhance them and make them a little bit more dramatic because I think it makes them look really cute and like kind of tired. I don't know. This is just a personal preference of mine, and you do not have to add this if you don't want to. Alright, so now we have all her facial features on her face. Yay! Now this is just a face tutorial, so I'm not going to go into like too much detail about the rest of the drawing. But yeah, I'm just drawing in her neck, and make sure not to make the neck too thick if you're actually drawing a girl, because females tend to have thinner necks. And if you want her or him to be more masculine, then you can give the character a thicker neck. So when I'm drawing ears, I usually start them at about where the nose starts, and then I bring them up to about the top of the eyeball. Now I'm starting out on her hair, just using that hair guideline that we marked out earlier. I will be speeding up the rest of the process of drawing her hair though, just because this is only a face drawing tutorial, not a hair drawing tutorial. But let me know if you guys want one of those. Okay, so now that that is done, I'm just taking my kneaded eraser and I'm erasing the guidelines. And I'm going to speed this part up just because it took kind of a long time and it's pretty self-explanatory, yeah. And now that we're done with that, I'm just going to be taking my pencil and starting to draw it back in places that got erased, adding in all the little details and shaded parts and whatnot, all the little things, all the little fun things that I wanted to add. But yeah, we're getting pretty close to the end now. Now I'm taking my dry paintbrush and I'm just using it to smooth out all those pencil lines. And it just gives a really nice, just smooth effect. And I'll be switching back and forth from my small and my large paintbrush throughout, just depending on what area I'm shading. It looks like we're now nearing the end, and also my favorite part, adding shinies. I'm just taking my white gel pen now and adding in all the shiny parts. I like to put shinies on the eyes, eyelids, nose, lips, and any other part of the drawing that I think might be shiny, like if I had like hair clips or little beads or, you know, anything that could probably attract a lot of light. I just love shinies so much, if you couldn't tell. You will also see me taking my kneaded eraser and cleaning up around the edges of the paper, and this is because I was kind of a slob and smeared my pencil all over the side of the paper, and you can avoid this by putting a scrap piece of paper underneath your hand while you're drawing, but I just totally forgot to do that. And lastly, I'm just going to sign the piece, and ta-da! You're done! Thank you so much for watching, and I hope that maybe you learned something and maybe you enjoyed the video. And remember, there are so many other ways to draw a face, so if this doesn't work for you, there's so many other videos on YouTube. This is just the way that works for me, for my particular style. Let me know in the comments if this video is helpful at all, and until next time, bye!